जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनातीरावनचारी। यमुनातीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनातीरावनचारी। यमुनातीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jam Vishnupad Paramsa Prajakshara Stotara Shata Shri Srimad Srila Abhay Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। नमः हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिर गोवर्धन की जय। Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. O glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. O glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. O glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. O glorious Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. O glorious Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prabhupada Shmadhanatana Swami Namini. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prabhupada Shmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishish Shunyavati Paschata Deshatarine. Om Agyanitamirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyahivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we continue our discussion on how to raise children in Krishna consciousness. First, today we should have, of course, as we mentioned yesterday, a question and answers session. But first we will mention 3 more things. So, because we are Sankirtan movement, it's very beneficial, and not just because we are Sankirtan movement, but for children it's very beneficial to learn some instruments. Yes, so I really recommend that children learn instruments. I regret that I wasn't taught any instrument, so I consider myself half literate because I cannot play any instrument very well, not even karatals. What to speak of other more complicated instruments. Yes, so this is very important, to send them to music school, children. This is very important investment in our children, and they, of course, they can use these skills for Krishna's pleasure. And so every day we sing to the Lord, so they can play musical instruments very nicely for the pleasure of the Lord. Even if you play yourself just for your devotional expression for the Lord, it's music is very good medium to open your heart. So this is really beneficial for children to know how to play instruments. And once they can play instruments, they easily learn how to play also other instruments. For example, my children, one was playing violin in the music school, but he easily learned mridanga and kartals and harmonium, no problem. And the other son was playing accordion in the music school, and he also learned mridanga and kartals, of course. And he can play accordion very well in harinams. And the daughter, she learned to play piano, which is of course very beneficial for playing harmonium. So, and they all play just for themselves. They enjoy to play kirtan for the Lord, even if they're just playing themselves. So this is really, really good that we teach children to play. Of course, the best is to be sent to music school, and they will have systematic teaching of instruments. Other thing which is as important, if not more, than playing musical instruments is sport. Because a human being is created to move. If we see the example of our acharyas, and even Lord Chaitanya, they always moved. For example, Lord Chaitanya went to the whole tour of India, from south to north, from east to west, all by foot. All by foot. And that means thousands and thousands of kilometers. Just walking. And not just him. Devotees from Bengal, they went on foot every year to Jagannath Puri and back. This is also a very long trip to take it just on foot. And Sanatana Goswami performed Govardhan Parikrama, the long one, 25 kilometers every day. Every day, without exception. So much so that when he was old, Lord appeared and gave him Govardhan Shila. You don't need to perform this whole Govardhan Parikrama because it's too much, because you're too old. You can hardly go around every day. So if you go 3 times around Govardhan Shila, it's counted as Govardhan Parikrama. So, and Raghunath Das Goswami, he offered 2,000 full dandavats obeisances to the devotees every day. Just try. This is heavy exercise. And of course, he also walked. Everyone walked. This is our natural nature, to walk and to move and to perform some work. Now the society is so crazy that we sit all day long. This is not natural. We are not created to be sitting all day long. And if the children are not moving, they become crazy. They're not clear-minded. Even if adults are not moving, they're not clear-minded. What to speak of children? Yes. I met a devotee who hardly breathes, and he's in 40s. His breathing is completely shallow. He breathes like this. I thought that he's sick or something, but then I realized that this is his normal breathing. So we shouldn't be like this. We should move. We should move, and we should teach our children to move. So it's very beneficial for them to practice some sport. Although our 3 children were homeschooled, they all trained some sport outside. They went to music school, and they trained some sport. And we, of course, I'm a marathon runner, so they all run also, besides their sport. And we were going to mountains many times. So if we go somewhere, that shouldn't be some fun for children just to enjoy outside of Krishna consciousness. We mentioned this before, because they will consider fun outside of Krishna consciousness. But of course we can go to nature, and they have to move in the nature. They have to put some effort. Then they will perceive this differently. Yes, that this is not just some sheer enjoyment, but you have to put some energy. You have to put some effort. Yes, to achieve something, to come to the top of the mountain, for example. Yes, so I recommend that children must be engaged in regular movement, and they should play instruments, musical instruments. Yes, and and this, of course, from the beginning of school, they should perform those things. Maybe they can train sport a little bit later, at the age of 9 or something like this. But they should be active even before, when they're small children. We walked with children. We lived in the nature, and we walked with children every day, or regularly at least, for several kilometers, even when they were young, really small, 3 years, or even 2 years. We carried them in our backpack, especially made for children. But certain part of the path they had to walk themselves also. Hare Krishna. Yes, this is important, that they learn to move, and they should love to move. Yes. And then we didn't mention one important aspect of growing. When they're in Keshora age, that means from 10 to 15, the sex desire awakens. So they should know that contacts with opposite sex are not play. It's not something to enjoy, but it's great responsibility in life. So either you are serious with someone, or you shouldn't associate with anyone of the opposite sex. Yes, this is important, because free mingling is a modern invention and is detrimental for spiritual consciousness. Yes. And I think that especially boys, they can understand this really nicely. And also girls, I think. So this is important to teach them, not to avoid this topic. They should know no mingling between sexes, except if you incline to get married. Then, of course, you should marry, but not. This is not a play. You cannot experiment your partners. So this is important aspect, very important aspect. Children should know. Growing up children, teenagers, they should know this, because this sex impulse is very strong. Shouldn't be underestimated. Yes. Okay, these are 3 things I wanted to mention. I wanted to stress. So now it is time for questions and answers. Yes.
Thank you. I came a little bit late, so I got the last 2 points. And I'm just reflecting on the last point. It is actually for nowadays, like for today's generation, a little bit maybe, too conservative, let's say, to say that 10 to 15 you should not mix together, because there is still some innocence in there. But again, I remembered some stories of teenagers, or those even girls in puberty at the age of 12, 13, getting already pregnant. So it seems sometimes if we don't understand the one side, or what's the ideal, or one extreme, then people tend to take the other extreme. So, but I don't know, like for me personally, in my childhood or in those years, it was still okay to mingle between boys and girls, and there was still some innocence.
Till which age?
Yeah, until 14 or something, and then, because for boys the puberty comes later than for girls, so for them there is still okay to mix, and then later on after they realize, okay, there is.
Where did you grow up?
In Jordan.
This is not Germany. This is not Germany or Europe. Because in Europe there is so much sexual advertisements everywhere that this sex impulse is awakened before. Shri Prahlad Nrsimha ki jai. For example, my daughter wasn't exposed to this sexual information, and so she got her period quite late. She was nearly 15, but I tutor also different students, and I had one girl who was 10 or 11 and she got her period. This is not surprise. That is so different, because children nowadays are very exposed to sexual information. And so this desire awakens before, because all these sexual impressions are sent as the ultimate enjoyment, which it is in material world. So, and we always are stressing this point, we are pleasure-seeking living entities. We are always seeking bliss, we are always seeking pleasure. And even in Sanskrit, in Shastra, this sexual enjoyment is also called ananda. Yes. So, if we don't protect them from these impulses, they will definitely awaken desire for sexual experiences. Before they are, I don't know, 14 or 15. Definitely. Even if we protect them, they will still develop these desires. So we cannot stop these desires. Therefore, we should know how to deal them. And we should discuss this with children. Especially in this way, because children, of course, are shy to speak this with, especially with parents. So they should be taught to not that this relationship with, between girls and boys are not play. They either there is no mingling between sexes, or then if you really want to get married, then you should be very serious. Yes. When my son, eldest son, who is now married and living in London, he was 17 or something. I noticed that he is texting with a girl. And we went running together. Because it's best to be in some movement. It's not that we are sitting in some room. Yes, it's too stressful. We went running, and then I said to him that I saw that some messages from some girl, and I told him that this is not a play. If you if you like this relationship, then you should be very serious. I didn't forbid him to have contacts with her, but I warned him that this is not a play. He shouldn't take it as a play. And now he's married to this girl. Yes. So he was serious, and he married at 22. Unfortunately, he doesn't have children yet. He's now 25. Yes. I encourage him to have children as soon as possible. So yes, this is not a play. So if we intend to marry, then okay, but we should be serious. Not just play around for sexual enjoyment, either gross or subtle. Yes. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. My question is a little bit how you see when, because in many occasions the ideal might not be met, that you manage to direct your children, in the proper way. They might go astray, and I myself had this experience. I grew up in Krishna consciousness, but when I was, teenager, I completely went astray. And also, of course, I had some bad experiences in Gurukul, so I rejected everything. And the liberal mood of my mother and her example somehow brought me back also at one point. So maybe you can say a few words about when it doesn't go the ideal way, how we can still bring the children back, so to say.
Yes, this is an important question. As I mentioned, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, these modern gurukuls are not classical gurukuls mentioned in the Vedas. And because Vedic Gurukula was a guru living with his wife, and the wife was acting towards the children, the students of the guru, as a mother. And so these children got motherly love. And therefore, Guru Patni is considered one of our mothers, one of our 7 mothers. But in modern Gurukulas, there is no motherly love for boys. And there is no fatherly authority for the girls. So I don't believe in modern Gurukulas, because the upbringing is not healthy. And therefore, because the boys don't feel this motherly love they need, of course, they are small boys. They need motherly love. And it's mentioned, I mentioned this in the class, that in Shastra, I'm sure if you read Shastra that you encountered this, that the boy who is a little bit grown up shouldn't allow the wife of the guru to bathe him. So, because guru's wife is acting like a mother, and it's typical for mothers that forget how old are their children. They treat them as young children even when they're completely grown up. And they ask, did you eat today? Are you feeling warm? Do you have your hat on your head? So they're concerned for their well-being. And for example, from Shastra also, from Krishna's Lila, it is described that Yashoda always forgets how old Krishna is. And she engages manjaris to bathe Krishna. And everyone forbids her to do this. But she forgets. Krishna is still a small boy. He cannot forget my breast milk. So there's no harm. But he's in his teenage, and these small girls are bathing him. It's not proper, according to Vedic society rules. So everyone forbids her, but she always forgot, because she considers Krishna a small boy. So therefore, a boy should forbid his mother, Guru's wife, to bathe him. Therefore, that means that he receives motherly love all the time. But boys in modern Gurukulas, they don't have motherly love. And therefore, because they don't feel loved, because fathers cannot give motherly love. It's not his role. If he tries to give motherly love, he becomes too emotional, too sentimental, and he cannot play his role, which is also essential for the child, for the healthy growing of the child. So, in modern gurukulas, they deprived of this stable environment, yes, balanced environment. So, because the boys don't feel loved and girls don't have any fatherly authority, they go astray many times. You are not the same, the single case, but you had fortune that you had a loving mother to come back. Not everyone is as fortunate. So, if this is the case that a child goes away, somehow or other, even if mother is always at home, giving love to their children, and father has strong authority, if somehow or other the child, even in those situations, goes astray, then of course, as I mentioned yesterday, usually they go astray in their teenage, if they go. So I mentioned yesterday, they should understand that that they have full responsibility over their life. So I'm not mingling with your decisions, but you should know you are fully responsible for your life. So whatever will happen in your life, it's fully your responsibility. They should know this. They should know. And they should be given freedom at this time. They shouldn't be given freedom before. They should have strict discipline from 5 to 10 and established authority even before, from 0 to 5. You should have authority then. I'm stressing this because if you don't have authority from 0 to 5, you can never, ever establish discipline from 5 to 10. You cannot just introduce some authority from blue. So you have to have strong authority before, from 0 to 5. Of course, they can play and do what they want if it's not nonsense, but they should know this is right and this is not right. Because I could see many times that if small children, do some nonsense, the parents allow them to do nonsense, or if they're really too much annoying, then they don't tell them this is not good, but divert their attention to something else. And this is wrong because children are intelligent. So they can easily understand what is right and what is not. This is not some mystery to them. They're completely intelligent beings, but in modern upbringing, we consider them completely foolish. That they don't understand anything. So they divert attention to something else. So the child doesn't know that this is not good, but he has just some other entertainment. Understand my point? So we should have authority in from 0 to 5, and then we can enforce discipline from 5 to 10. And then, when they're in teenage, we can give them more and more freedom. Not other way around. Because when children get crazy in their teenage, then the parents are awakened. Yes, there is something wrong. I should teach him discipline. But no way. No way that will teach them discipline in teenage. Then they will more rebel. Yes. So, but if they have this training from 0 to teenage, then they should know, yes, this is your decision, your responsibility, and should be given freedom. Of course, they are always welcome at home. They are always welcome to come to the temple. And as I mentioned even before, they should know tattva, that this is not a religion. Usually this happens because children think that this is some kind of religion of my parents, and they are forcing me to this religion. So they should know tattva very well. This is Sanatan Dharma. This is not a religion. This is natural Dharma for every living entity, not just for a human being. Eternal Dharma. So, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Once just short. But because you mentioned tattva a few times now.
Yes.
And maybe like tattva also, but I remember also one of the things that never left me was like we strongly identified with the stories from the Mahabharata and Ramayana. So what is the combination, or like what is more relevant? Tattva, or what would be the main elements of tattva? That we are not this body, the position of Krishna. So what elements of tattva, and what is the importance of stories?
Yes, stories are extremely important. Whole Bhagavatam is based on stories, which is our most basic devotional literature. But all stories are based on tattva. So tattva is the basis of rasa. Rasa will be misunderstood without tattva. If you don't have strong foundation in understanding tattva, who is Krishna, who are we, and so on. And if the stories are basing on tattva, on this proper understanding, they're perfect. Because stories go most deep in our heart. Yes, it's very good. Children love to play Ramayana. Yes, my boys, they were always running with bows and arrows around, playing Ramayana and Mahabharata. But they also learned verses from Bhagavad Gita. So they understood Bhagavad Gita. They should understand what is pure devotional service and what is not pure devotional service. That we don't pray for good grades in school. That this is not pure devotional service. We don't pray for a new bicycle. The Lord. We don't pray for good health. Because everything like this is not pure devotional service. And if you don't perform pure devotional service, even if you are not pure, then we'll never achieve the goal of pure devotional service. Because the sadhya, or the goal, is dependent on sadhana. So if the sadhana is not pure, then sadhya will also not be pure. Yes. Maybe we have impure heart, but we can follow the pure path. So this is really important, that they understand the difference between pure devotional service and impure devotional, mixed devotional service, and material motives. They should really understand this, because it's all pervading, and not just among children, also among adult devotees. For example, I had some court case, and I was advised by some senior devotee to perform some yagya to win the court case. But of course, I didn't follow this instruction because it's not pure devotional service. I would perform yagya for my material desires, and it would be business deal with the Lord. I give you this to achieve this, and this is Vanik mentality, as explained by Prahlad Maharaj. And we should not encourage this Vanik mentality for our children. Merchant mentality. Because if we want to be suprasiddhati, completely happy, prasiddhati means happy, blissful. And suprasiddhati means completely blissful. Yes. Then Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktira dokshati ahetukya pratihata yatma suprasiddhati. We can become suprasiddhati, perfectly happy, only if we have unconditional love for the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, we cannot be completely happy. And we, of course, we want our children to be happy, to be completely happy, to be blissful. So we should teach them unalloyed devotional service, pure devotional service, that they understand, not that they have to just follow, but they should understand. This is movement for Krishna consciousness. This is consciousness, not just to follow some rules or not to just worship Krishna. This is about consciousness. And consciousness means proper understanding. Yes. So they should have this proper understanding, what is pure devotional service, what is mixed devotional service, and what is not devotional service. And then, of course, these stories are extremely helpful to deepen this understanding in practical environment, as these stories are. Yeah. So, yes, these stories are really important. Thank you. Oh, yes, please. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. First, I would love actually mentioning some point I know about the early period. You said it's, I don't know anything about the what the early exposure of sexuality does, but I know the reason, or a big reason, is that for early period is we're exposed to so much unnatural chemistry, and this is like the structures of the molecules are similar to our hormones, so that's why that's actually a reason. But yes, coming to my topic, I understood that you believe in gender roles. And gender roles, like how the father and the mother should behave in different situations. And the father is there for teaching discipline and telling the children how to behave, and the mother is like there to care and love. And before I come to my question, I would love to mention that I can't agree with that so much, because it reproduced this thinking, which is all over the world, that the value of the woman is only defined for the sake of the man and its masculinity, which is
I didn't quite get you. What was the point?
So this is a topic which we can discuss actually, which is not supposed to be here, I guess, because it's too big. But I don't see that when you even said the mother is to have the sake of the family is to have much more kids, and so actually the woman then only needs to stay at home and can't do anything actually else, which is actually reaching the world in a way what men do when they go to work and something. But my question is actually, or my thoughts, when the man, like teaching discipline and how to behave to the children is even building the thinking and the structure of the society. And what you teach is that the father, the man, the masculine side is supposed to do that. And there are actually two questions came up into my mind, because how I understood the Kali Yuga is something the Krishna consciousness is actually really struggling and challenging with. And there need to be a reason why we are in this mess, why this humanity is in this mess right now. And it has always been the case and the belief that man should teach discipline in this world, and we should listen to them. And so I thought, like, maybe there needs to be a smarter way of guiding children. And so I came actually to this, I think, really good question to think about, why we should, why like women shouldn't teach discipline, why we shouldn't like believe or trust in the feminine side, which is actually, we have actually so much strength of emotion and empathy, which is the world is actually lacking right now so much. And actually I believe even the men are having feminine parts, which are just hidden and kept small, what you actually even supported yesterday. And I think it's such a pity in our world that this is the case. And so that was my first question. I have even another one. It's linked up to that. I don't know if I should continue with that.
Yes. It's important to raise such a question because it's modern way of thinking. Of course, father also has a soft nature. He's not just iron rod or a stone. And women, of course, also have some authority over their children. They're not just soft butter. This is of course natural, but we should know that father, if he gets over emotional, is scientifically proven that switch off their intelligence very quickly if they're over emotional. And this is of course not beneficial for anyone. And this outreach in the society for women, of course they are intelligent enough to outreach, but everyone will suffer. They will suffer because they have no really loving relationship. Because the outer world is fight. Because so much envy and hatred, and especially in Kali Yuga, there's even more envy and hypocrisy. And if anyone wants to succeed in outer world, it's not just women, also for men, he has to fight. He has to fight against others. And compete with others. And this is extremely masculine approach to life. And I read the different analyses that women are, even those who work outside, they want to work much less they have to. Because their nature is to be with their family. But men are not so as disturbed with long work as women are, usually. Of course, this doesn't apply for every single woman. But if woman wants to have a happy family life, she has to be at home. And she will be also happy if she cares for children. Because relationship with children and happy husband is most satisfying for a lady. But if the children are left to some crazy society to bring up, how can a woman be happy? Because their children are her children are exposed to crazy environment, more and more crazy environment. And I mentioned this in these classes, that modern society, who is teaching boys and girls together, and because of this, the boys are more and more feminine, and the girls are more and more masculine. And they want to, and their acquired nature is to go out and have a career. This is acquired nature. But we can see that the biological nature is not like this. So these two different natures, which either cannot be given up, not easily, because it goes very deep into our heart if we are taught like this from the beginning of our existence in this world. Then women are really many times really disturbed. And I heard that some foundings are that many women are taking these pills to calm down, because they're wrecks, emotional wrecks, because they have to fight all the time. And the husband who is not encouraged, usually husbands now in modern education, they're not encouraged to care for family, really. Because the role of a husband and wife should be equal, according to modern approach. And therefore, if I'm equal, why should I protect my family? Why should I provide for my family? And this is against masculine mentality, against masculine nature. And so many men are good for nothing. And so, because they still have their biological nature, they expect wives who work against their nature to do everything alone. So it's a recipe for completely miserable life for both, for men and for women. Yes, women will be completely disturbed, and have seen many times, because I'm tutoring children. And children who are intelligent enough, they need help, because they have completely messed families. Usually father and mother, they don't live together, and mother has another partner, and children hate them. And they start to shake when this partner comes home. And yes, this is the consequence of modern education, of modern way of thinking. It's really not beneficial. We should understand this. We should understand that mother should be loving mother and a wife. And that the softness and the warm environment at home is dependent exclusively on mother. And if children, they don't grow up with their mothers, they lack this loving relationship. And they will be emotionally defected all their lives. And we can see this in modern world. The boys and girls are emotionally defected because they don't have loving home. Because empty home is like a crematorium. If there is not loving mother there. Really. I explained my own experience. I hated kindergarten, but I had to go to kindergarten because no one was at home. And I escaped from kindergarten because it was 30 meters away. My home was 30 meters away. I was banging on the door. Mother, please open the door. Please open the door. But no one answered. And of course, these are scars on our heart. And I believe there are many scars in modern world on our hearts because of this cruel society. In fact, now it's cruel society. Women are taught to fight outside. For what? What kind of satisfaction can woman have if she fights outside for few euros? And her family, her children, why did she have children if she's not prepared to take care of them? Just for sexual enjoyment? And this is a side effect of my sexual enjoyment. And I put them away because I don't want to care for them. And the same for father. Do I have a family just for my sexual enjoyment? And I really don't take proper care for my family. And children are put away to the kindergarten and schools and when it so happens by accident that we are together, we put them in front of the TV or in front of some electronic gadget to have peace from our children. Then everyone will be emotional wreck, and it is the case in modern world. Everyone is emotional wreck. Boys and girls. Everyone. Therefore, we should understand properly the teachings of our Shastra. Why this is important to have male roles and female roles for the healthy society, happy society, satisfied individuals. And big family, of course, is beneficial for this. If you're alone, you're very vulnerable. You're easily manipulated. Easily. You're always afraid if you're alone. Alone against the whole world, which is not nice. Yes. The world is not nice. You have to fight everywhere. Yes. I went through schools and I went through kindergartens. I worked outside, so I have experience. This is not just bookish knowledge. It's based on my experience. I have 3 children. Yes, this modern understanding and enforcing of this understanding is detrimental for happy life. Either for boys or for girls, or men or women, for everyone. So, it's so important that we understand the message of the Lord. Really. It's so important to understand the message of the Lord. Why is this system was created? It was not created to enslave us. Because modern understanding is that traditional roles is enslavement. But if in fact it's freedom. These are principles of freedom. Yes, we should understand Bhoktaram Yagatapasan Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Sukhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvam Shantim Richati. Only those who understand that Lord is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, of everything we do, because sacrifice is everything we do. That you sit here is a sacrifice, because you don't walk through the nature, for example, during this time. So you sacrifice your time that you're here. And all sacrifices, whatever we do is sacrifice, are meant for the pleasure of the Lord. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. And of all our endeavors, tapas means austerity, that means endeavor. Whatever we endeavor for, this is also meant for the pleasure of the Lord. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, everything is the property of the Lord. And that doesn't mean just outside property, my phone, my car, my family, but also our whatever is inside me is also Lord's property. My thoughts, my desires, my emotions are also Lord's property. But we should understand that the Lord is not some you say Ivan Grozny, that means Ivan the Terrible. that he wants to see how we suffer. No, he's Sukhridam Sarvabhutanam. He's a well-wisher of every living entity. So his system is just for us to be happy. Just for this purpose. To make us happy. Yes. Therefore, the Vedic premise is Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. Let all living entities be happy. And therefore we should understand deeply why there is something recommended in the scriptures and why it's not. Not just blindly. Blind following is against the Vedic principles. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now it's time for inquiring about the absolute truth. Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa. We live only for inquiring about Tattva, about the absolute truth. Yes. Etavat eva jigyasan tattva jigyasunatmana. Anvaya vyatirikavyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. We should inquire about the absolute truth at every time, at every place, and in every circumstance. So this is our duty, to inquire, not just to emotionally demand some rights. What rights? We have right to die. And we should have a responsible life. And if we mold our life according to Krishna's desire, it's the only recipe to be happy. Otherwise, we'll be just miserable. I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes, thank you. So I actually I asked for the role of the mother, why she isn't supposed to teach discipline. I wasn't. I never meant that she's supposed to ignore her caring part and loving part. And if I want to have sexual enjoyment, I can protect myself from pregnancy. And you said like this gender roles needs to lead us in a happy life, but that's why I was asking the question, because I don't see the world as in a happy life. But it's fine. If I may ask
yes,
my second
I
question.
can answer this,
But
otherwise I will forget. Discipline. Yes, of course, she can also teach discipline, but if she has to enforce discipline, which is the father's role, she'll become hysterical, because she's emotional and she will demand discipline for the children in an emotional way. On the other hand, the father will enforce discipline with clear intelligence. So he'll not be hysterical, he'll not become emotional about it. He'll just demand, you should follow this, this is the rule, and don't mess with me. But mother cannot act in this way because she's too emotionally involved. And this is natural and should be like this, because she should have deep loving affection for their children in the other way than the man, because then no one would survive in this world if mother wouldn't have this nature.
But this is the case right now. Nobody survives in this world because it's like a mess.
Yes, yes. They're put in some asylums, in kindergarten schools and so on, for others to care. And so everyone is an emotional wreck. Okay, let others also ask questions, okay? Yes, yes, please.
So what is the approach, maybe from your experience in childhood, to a daughter and to a son? How should parents approach like their children?
Yes, for sons they need strong discipline, very strict discipline. We mentioned as military drill. These are needed for sons, but not for daughters. Daughters are not acting in this same way, they're not perceiving the world in the same way as boys. And if they feel loved, of course they should also have discipline, but not enforced like for boys. Because usually the girls, if they feel they are loved, they're good girls. They're not rebellious. They don't try to break the boundaries, especially if they feel loved. So they should be told this is wrong and this is right. They're not stupid in this way, that they wouldn't understand this. They, of course, can easily understand what is good and what is right. And they lovingly embrace this, what is good and what is right, especially if they feel loved. So, by teaching them what is good and what is right, we should give them a lot of affection. Both father and mother. So father should be very military towards his sons, but very caring and loving to the daughter. Yes, then she'll feel secure and happy. but she also needs this strong fatherly figure, but in the not in the same mood as towards the boys. Is this okay?
Yes, thank you.
And do you agree from your experience? Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Ja, erstmal schönen Dank für den Vortrag. Also ich kann das nur bestätigen, was du gesagt hast. Ich habe das selber erlebt, also beide Seiten. Und ich muss sagen, es ist wirklich so, das ist Kali Yuga. Wir haben schon kommen schon mit einer anderen Ausstattung, mit einem anderen Karma in diese Welt. Und es ist sehr vieles verdreht. Und ich habe mein Kind damals mit einem Jahr in die Kinderkrippe gebracht. So wie ich die hingestellt habe, so blieb die stehen. Die hat nichts gegessen, die hat an nichts teilgenommen. Aber das hat man mir nicht gesagt. Mein Mann war das auch eigentlich nicht recht, dass wir die in eine Kinderkrippe bringen. Aber ich denke, na ja, mit einem Jahr, und das war in der DDR. Ach so, müsste mal jemand übersetzen. Ja? Müsste mal jemand übersetzen.
Yes. I need a translation.
Now she's saying that she has this experience for sure. She in Kali Yuga we are born with a very weird set of values and situation in general, and she had this experience that she brought her child to the kindergarten, and in the Democratic Republic of Germany, East Germany was rule and common. So after 1 year they put the child to the kindergarten, and then the child didn't move, didn't eat, didn't do anything the whole time it was there.
Yes. I was put in the kindergarten when I was 3 months old.
Sie hat da nichts gegessen, an nichts teilgenommen. Kindergarten nachher mit 3 Jahren, da konnte sie das ja selber verstehen, konnte sich selber mitteilen. Aber trotzdem ist das, eigentlich ist das nicht gut mit, ist den ganzen Tag als Frau zur Arbeit und kommt dann nach Hause, und das ist alles verdreht. Aber man wusste nicht, es fehlte immer was. Wenn man ohne Krishna lebt, dann fehlt immer was. Man merkt, dass irgendwas nicht stimmt. Und wenn man das nachher weiß, dann denkt man, aha, das hast du alles verkehrt gemacht. Ja, ja, es ist also genauso wie gesagt.
Yeah, she's saying basically afterwards you realize that you make a mistake. At the moment you might think, okay, maybe it's okay, but afterwards you see that it was a mistake for sure.
Yes,
So.
yes, of course. The experienced people know when they're older. and many times they're sorry. They cannot change the past. Anything else? Yes, please.
Thank you. In one of your answers, you briefly mentioned that as a suggestion for your child that they should be having children as soon as possible. And what is your? I wanted to ask you, okay, why? Where does it come from? Like this of having children as soon as possible, or in a young, let's say, age?
Yes, if one desires to get married, he should be married as soon as possible and have children as soon as possible. Maybe you have heard about Dr. Tursuno of Daryadam. Have you heard about him? Yes, from Russia. He's very famous. In fact, he made many devotees in Russia by his preaching. And what's interesting in his writings, I didn't go deep, but I saw something interesting. He recommends that for every phase of your life, it should be done in proper time. For example, if you want to learn something, it's best time when you're young to learn something. And then you will easily learn, and so on. It goes very easily. And if you have children, of course, it's very beneficial when your body is and mental state is conducive to have children. Of course, now the environment teaches us to enjoy as long as possible, and the children are just responsibility, just some burden. And then happens that people, even devotees, have children at 40, at 50. And this is, of course, the time that we should get more and more detached from this world. And this is our biological nature in this way. That we don't have so much energy to engage in this world anymore. We have enough of work, of whole life, and we want to just settle down a little bit. But if you have small children, this is not proper mood of upbringing small children. But it's natural for us in this age. So we should have children when we are in prime of energy, because then we can put full energy in upbringing of our children. Not when we are lacking energy. Then nothing good can happen. And even women after 40 to have children is very risky. There are many cases of devotees, because they marry and have children usually late. It's not some exception, that one here or there, but many devotees like this. And these Down syndromes, because they have children too late, and so on. Yes, it's best to have children when your biological nature is to have children. This is natural. This is Krishna's plan. But the problem is that we all go against Krishna's plan. The whole society goes against Krishna's plan. And we are taught to go against Krishna's plan. And we think that we are weird, and everyone else perceives that we are weird if we go against, if we don't go against Krishna's plan. Yes. When I married, one friend of mine, who's my friend before Krishna consciousness, asked me, "But why did you get married? Are you crazy?" So, I don't know what's wrong with you to get married. So you miss so much enjoyment if you get married. But this enjoyment is just the way to get miserable. Yehi sansparchara bhoga dukkha yona yevati adyantavantah kontanati shramati buddha. Those who are intelligent, they are not after the enjoyments of this world, because they have its beginning and their end. Their beginning and their end. And if we enjoy something, we don't want this enjoyment to end. No one is so foolish that that he wants something that makes him happy to end. But instead we get attached to this, what makes us happy. And because it ends by its nature, then we suffer, because we lose it. Yes. So the best is to follow biological nature, because it's Krishna's given. That means that we have children relatively young, in our beginning of 20s, it's the best time for having children. And then we are grown when we are in 40s, and in our 40s, our children are grown up. And they have their children. And so we can easily then devote ourselves more to spiritual life and to renounce, to get more and more renounced. Otherwise, how can we renounce if we have children when we are 50? We cannot renounce. We have to take care. We cannot renounce this responsibility. And then they can be dependent on themselves when we are 70. And 70, then not much life is left. How will get renounced? And then if we didn't practice this devotional service really deeply, because when there are small children, of course, as I explained, we should have strict sadhana ourselves and so on. But if we have children at 50, that means that we are not really strict to ourselves. It's more difficult than to become strict just like this. Yes. And then we'll be more and more afraid, rather to get more and more detached when we are 70. Yeah. So, better to do everything when the time is ripe. Yes. Then we can be relatively happy in this world. Yes. If we are Krishna conscious, otherwise we'll suffer in every case. Hare Krishna. It's okay. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanandi, Hari Bo. Please accept my humble obeisances. Sorry, I forget to.
No problem.